Respected Sadr Saab called me and shared that some brothers from the Majlis talked to him about this, that there is this issue with midlife crisis. Being a doctor, I didn't understand the term. I'm like, Sadr Saab, what are you talking about? It's a very vague term. So we had a very nice back and forth. But him being the engineer won, and the Sadr, of course, he won, and he's like, no, I want you to talk about it. And Allah is my witness, I had to Google it first, because, we doctor, we like to be very specific, particularly when it comes to medicine. You tell me headache, it doesn't work. That's for a layman. We have to think, is it cluster headache? Is it migraine? Is it what kind of headache? So as I started talking about it, and I talked to some of my Ansar brothers in my Jamaat as well, and we're going to have a conversation. Your active participation is going to be needed. This is not a speech. So we're going to have some hard conversations. And just remember this picture. I'm going to come back to this picture. What do you see in this picture? By the way, I'll tell you, there is bliss. There's no crisis in this picture. And there are more than one hints. There's not one hint. Everyone can see Khalifatul Masih, of course. But there are more than one hints to that bliss. So the answer, we're going to try to reach that answer together. But I think somebody gave me okay, wonderful. So here is, when you look at the definition, there are many different definitions. I don't want to get hung up on it. We have limited time. So if you disagree with the term, it bothers you, trust me, there are others who feel the same way. But for the purpose of conversation, let's agree this is the definition. A feeling of regret, lack of purpose. I'm not fulfilled. I have a lot of money, but I'm not happy. A feeling of, I'm about to die. My best friend was just diagnosed with cancer, stage 4. I could be next. I always tell people that I turned from a tifl to khadim at the age of 22. You'll wonder why. Because that's the age when my father died. Instantly. Just instantly, like this, I became a khadim that day. As I was putting him in the grave, and people were coming, hugging me and saying, "Oh putter, asi tere vadde hain, I'm your father." The 22-year-old Faheem Younus knew, no, there's no father. It's over. Life has changed forever. So it's that kind of feeling, mortality. When you feel like zindagi gawa di hai. Sometimes, you have this feeling that I've spent so many years and I'm a failure. I think that's what we're about to talk now. So it's a difficult conversation. The goal is to make it a little bit fun, a little bit more practical, actionable, not philosophical. So I need your help right away, how you want me to proceed. Because there are multiple things we have to decide right now. And you have to raise your hands to tell me your preference. First of all, I'm going to give you a microphone. You'll have to say, how do you want me to conduct this? Should I put time limits? Should people talk for a limited amount of time? Or should I give open mics so people can say their thing? Time limits? Okay, please keep helping me with your preferences here, because that helps. We are going to wade into areas where there may be a conversation of religion versus culture. We do certain things as Pakistanis or as people from subcontinent which may be culturally very important to us. Which way you want to go? What trumps what? Do we all respect culture over religion or religion over culture? Of course, the best answer is both. I get that. But for the purpose of this conversation, this is important. I'm hearing two words here. I'm glad I asked the question. I don't want to get a bullet in my head. So this is Ansarullah. People have told me, you got to be careful with Ansarullah, as if I don't know my own family. But those of you who think culture, raise your hands. That culture should trump religion. That helps me. Those of you who think religion should trump culture, raise your hands. Okay, sir, please look around. I respect your view, but I think there's a majority view of religion trumping culture. Third, do you want to make it real or you want to make it very real, feel good? We could go either way. So everybody wants to make it, what a group of pessimists. Okay, great. So if it's going to be real, then I also need some commitment from you. Then you got to tell me, are you going to take offense? Or you're going to say, thank you for having that conversation. Right? Because sometimes we don't even know what we're asking for. A real conversation means you're long-winded. I'll have to say, sir, please, let's just stop here. We are short in time. A real conversation means you're talking about your stories from youth, and I'm saying, sir, let's just come back to focus. So that's what it will entail. I'm perfectly fine going either direction. But once again, real or feel good? All right. And then in the end, last question, the conclusions, are the conclusions, whatever we walk away with, is that going to be for me or for Jamaat, for someone else, for Amir Saab? Why am I here, right? So these are the commitments I'm glad we're having up front, because if you're hoping for the system to change, sir, there is no system. This is the system we're here for. So, okay, very good. We'll go ahead. I want you to talk to each other now for 3 minutes. I'll tell you why. And you can see whoever right next to you. Tell me what's happening in people's lives. May not be your life. Maybe in your family. What's creating this kind of negativity? Do discuss actual things. Don't go into philosophy. I give you an example there. A person is 52 years old. He's successful but unmarried. All of his friends are married. They're busy with their families. He's going through a crisis. He's got nowhere to go, right? I'm just giving you one example. I can load you up with examples, but I'm not going to do that. So now I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Please talk to each other. Really, and don't worry about the noise. It is supposed to generate noise in the room. I'll just tell you when to come back. Your time starts now. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Time to come back. Assalamu alaikum. So now, yes, sir. 1 second, 1 second. So I know you've discussed a lot of things. And now I want people to start lining up here. Please, less than 60 seconds, come and tell us what you're talking about. One from each group. We can have 10 or 15 people. But please come in quickly, stand right here. Don't wait for, just line up so we can use the time efficiently. Yes, sir. So stay on focus. The question, this person first.
Is it a question or just?
So, right. So we're, okay. So where we need the discussion focused now is what have you heard from your peers? What is it that's causing a crisis in people's life? Yes, sir, go ahead. We have enough people, no more, please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Luqman Ahmed.
Closer to the mic.
Assalamu alaikum, Luqman Ahmed. We discussed the same scenario that you had on there.
Please listen, please. This is not going to work otherwise. Please listen.
So we talked about the same scenario, and just like, you know, at least I know somebody of that who's going through that scenario. And so he asked me a question, what is the difference? You could be 52, married, and have a problem. What is the difference? So to me, the difference is when you are married, Allah Ta'ala has made that for a reason. You can bring all your, you know, whatever your grievances or, you know, whatever.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. We're looking for more examples. I don't want you to analyze this example. I want you to tell me more examples. What else is happening? I just gave you one example.
Right.
So what other examples are there?
We didn't discuss anything. We just got to.
I'm sorry. Maybe did others discuss? Rest of you discussed other examples? Yes. Okay, great. Let's just go ahead.
Yes, my name is Muhammad Mustafa. We discussed basically culture and its possible impact upon religion ultimately in terms of confusing the two. Number two, we also discussed the question of whether this discussion could proceed systematically and consistently and successfully without a brief definition of A, failure, B, success.
Fantastic point. So I'll give you one more example just so everyone can sharpen their comments. Let's imagine a man, he's 58 years old, he's very successful, drives the best cars, but his children don't listen to him. That's the kind of crisis. Those are the examples I'm looking for. Think of that father. He comes home, he tells his daughter, Beta, we don't go out like this. And she says, Baba, see you later. Right? That man feels that's the crisis. So I'm looking for more examples like that. Please, go ahead, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. With this example, what me and my peer discussed about is the crisis in Islam Ahmadiyya. We are the one that we have a Khalifa. Are we breaking the heart of our Khalifa with that? Because according to Huzul and Amir Saab, less than 40% of Ansar are not doing the proper namaz. This is a crisis, religious crisis in Islam Ahmadiyya. So we discussed that. So the solution is to listen to Huzul and obey him, and then the answer will be there for us.
We're not even at the solution, sir. I appreciate your input.
Okay.
Keep coming. Yeah. We want people to discover the solution together. Yes, sir.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I think Hazrat Masih Maud is the complete example or exemplary for our life in this period of life. And anything we wish to do, I have seen, and I have been very close to Hazrat Masih Maud and all the Khulafa. Anything we want to know, the present time, the Khalifa of the time, and Hazrat Masih Maud his life is complete code of life for us. If we go out of that, that's a problem.
Jazakumullah. So I knew, I know my family, and I knew this is a heavy conversation. 1 second, Shah sir. So I'm going to put some examples on the screen. And I put my phone number there so you can text me more real life examples. We will take your comments as well, but this will perhaps help you find the discussion where we are trying to go. Here are some examples. When I talk to many Ansar, one-on-one, this is what they told me. I have money, success, but no purpose. I feel like I have no purpose. Second example, my children moved out without my permission. The children grew up, daughter or son, after college, didn't come back home. They said, Baba, I'm going to live on my own. Broke the heart, the man's broken. My son or daughter married someone without my permission. Forget about Ahmadi, non-Ahmadi. This is what broke their heart. And I wanted to write it up there because I know certain things are easier to open up one-on-one rather than in front of 500 people. So I'm sharing these examples with you. I have no communication with my wife. Others have a better life than me. People look at others and they compare themselves. I did not serve my parents, and now they're gone. Is that making sense, by the way? This is what people are saying in one-on-one conversations, and I wanted to make sure you see that. My health. One of the parents said, I wanted to play cricket with my son, and I tried bowling for 3 minutes, and my arm started hurting. He said, I can't bowl. I thought I could do it. Culture shock. I was a CEO in India or Pakistan. I come here, no one recognizes me. I'm out of my job. No one knows, how accomplished I am. This technology. So I'm just giving you real life examples where people have told me. Back to you, sir. And now you have my cell phone number there. If something else comes to mind, you can text me.
Assalamu alaikum. So what we discussed in our group, a couple of examples that were mentioned. My children are all married and happily settled away from our house. I want to hold my grandchildren, but they're not producing.
Good example. Very good example.
And I'm getting old.
So
right?
here is a man who wants to be grandfather.
I want to play with my grandchildren.
Very good example. Jazakallah Shah sir. Kamal bhai.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kamal, and I just discussed with my fellow friends. I'm a dentist by profession, and they are dentists too. So we were discussing basically what difficulties we have in our business side, how the business side is affecting our personal life so much. We have drawn our partners or wives into the business. We pulled them in. And now it's affecting our children, our houses, and everything else that is related with it, and how we can cope it. It's nothing to do with my profession, but it's kind of related with my profession, so that is affecting all of us.
Long work hours.
Yes, it's a long work hours.
Very good example. Jazakallah. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. My name is Latif Tahir from Austin. So we discussed and we figured it out that our main problem is that we have lack of appreciation. So we don't appreciate that much. We pick up the weak points, exploit them, and so that's the basic thing.
Excellent point.
Here in America, one good thing is that if you do small thing, they will appreciate, And even you have a lot of weaknesses, but they pick up the good point. But in our culture is opposite. So we should
Good point.
take care.
Jazakumullah, sir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Fahim bhai, I might have missed the mark on this, but hopefully I didn't.
okay. Please.
Two things that's been bugging me a lot, and I was just discussing with one of my buddies over there. One thing is the purpose of life, right? I'm kind of sick of routine, right? You get up, you go to work, you earn money, you come home. I mean, car, house, bank balance, nothing matters to me. So I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, this is all good. We've been doing this for a while. But if the end goal is the life after, I'm ready for that. I'm not really depressed, okay? But I'm just saying, I'm sick of this routine work every day, right? If this is it, then okay, I've done
Very
it, right?
real.
Right?
Very
So
real.
that's
A
one
distaste,
thing.
a general distaste.
Right. And the second thing that's been bugging me is looking around the Jamaat, and I see so many higher families and pious families and educated families, and I see what's happening with their kids, right? So the second thing that scares me is I'm nowhere near in comparing to some of those families, right? What's going to happen to my kids? I mean, I'm trying myself every day. My wife is trying really hard to make sure we raise good kids, right? But when I look around in the Jamaat and I see, man, so-and-so, was at this level, religiously, secularly, whatever, I'm like, we're not nowhere near. How will we raise our kids to be
Very
ready
good
with
point.
this? So-
Point captured. Yes, sir, Khalid bhai.
Assalamu alaikum. Fahim bhai, my name is Khalid. I just met actually my dear brother Mahboob, and actually we spend most of the time talking to each other, knowing each other. I'm sorry that we didn't, but there was two things that we, at the end, in the last 30 seconds, Mahboob bhai said about the expectations. That people have expectations at every single level, at home, at work, and fear of that failure of those expectations. And second thing that I think that the anxieties that we have is that this disconnect with the real God. That God doesn't have to be Ahmadi Muslim God. That God could be a Hindu God or Christian God or Jewish God. But that not having a relationship with God, that creates a lot of those issues that you're talking about. They can be overcome, the challenges, once you have that relationship.
1 second, Abu Bakr Sahib. Imam Sahib, can you please come, sir? So I was going to request Imam Sahib to jot down some of these examples so you can see what the crowd is saying. Please, Abu Bakr Sahib.
The one that we discussed is that, your family, brothers and sisters, friends and community, even yourself has an expectation, but you're not meeting the expectations and you have put this smoke screen up as if you were, and it's about to clear itself.
Excellent point. So far we have too high of expectations. Khurshid bhai, please.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. We discuss in our team that most of the time we are so busy in our day-to-day life that sometimes we don't have our me time for myself. I think that's a challenging at this age because you're doing for your children, you're doing for your family, your parents, for Jamaat, but you don't have anything for your work. You don't have anything for yourself to be successful or to move on or do something for your own personal pleasure. So this was it.
Can you summarize this so we can write it down? I'm sorry, I was distracted.
The thing is, you don't have a me time, personal time for yourself.
Yeah, no personal time.
Because you are responsible for many other things in your life.
Okay.
And that's why you just need some time for yourself.
Okay.
That's a challenging thing.
My apologies if I, let you didn't make your point. You will have it again, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah, Khurshid bhai. Let me read some of the things that people are sending to me as texts. Father was a huge personality in the Jamaat. The son or children are totally disconnected. I regret to be an Ansar because now I can understand hypocrisy. The extent of hypocrisy around us depresses me. Very interesting how someone else's action is one person's action is another person's midlife crisis. A lot of Ansar want to do Aqd-e-Sani, second marriage. But country law, Jamaat does not support it. Oh, one person wanted to remain anonymous. I want to make sure I'm interested in the issue, not your identity. You have my promise, I'll delete all the texts. So inshallah, I have no intent of finding out who's saying what. I did a poor job in bringing up my children Islam-wise, and now they do not even married or have any children. Salat is my only resort. The children are in their 30s. Somebody said, I'm 40 with my wife in mid-30s, and his wife recently was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer, which has been which has a chance of about 50% chance of coming back. Gives you a feeling of the room. Incurable illnesses of children, and uncertainty about their future when you are no more. So one person has a wife who's struggling, another person has a child who's struggling. We heard a grandfather who's struggling. Let me just keep reading. I want to make sure that I can quickly do justice to some of these texts coming in. Wishing to have a purpose to help humanity in some capacity, but have not done it so far. So wanted to make some real impact. Planning to serve Jamaat a little, tied to focus or career, so can be better. Now I've realized I've lost 2/3 of my life. I think I lost my life without a purpose, what to do. Somebody says, I moved to US recently, lost my friends of Jamaat. They're not at this ijtima. I don't know anyone, and no one knows me. There's a person sitting in this room who just said this, right? Sir, I don't need to know your name, but please don't leave without giving me a shake hand and a hug. I have no children at 48, not married, so depressed. There are many more texts, of course. If time allows, I can continue to read them. I think it gives us some foundation to work with. Let's go to the next slide, Imam Sahib. Jazakumullah for transcribing in real time pretty fast. Go to the next slide. So, I think this is it. Just want to make sure that we are in. Can we go to slideshow, please? Yeah, right there. Just go to slideshow and let's just make sure that. So these are the examples, and now I wanted to take it to the next step. So there must be people in Jamaat or your family who seem to be living a more blissful life. I think we've acknowledged there are these problems. But that's not to say everybody is having these problems. Majority of people have the same stressors working on them. Some have worse than others, of course. There are some people who go through a trial that puts the fear of Allah in your mind. You're like, this is too big. I wish I'd never experienced anything near this. But materialism, loneliness, job, long hours, I think a lot of us can relate with that. So think the other way now. Are there people in your Jamaat, in your family, who don't seem to be going through a crisis, even though they may be facing many of the same stresses? What's different about them, about their choices? And once again, I think I deeply respect the unique situations. Of course, somebody's wife just got diagnosed with cancer. I can't compare with that. Nobody's trying to compare anything. But I hope that we got the gist of the issue. I'm talking about the bombardment that is equal on all of us. The social media, the culture shock, the technology, the loneliness, the long work hours, no purpose in life, good job, not happy, no communication with wife. You see how I just put it in there as everyone's problem? So anyway, we can laugh. It helps with midlife crisis. It's okay. So now, once again, I'm going to request you, I hope now we are a little bit more sharper in our assessments. Talk to each other. Again, take another 3 minutes. And ask, what are the choices? How some other people are happy? What are they doing right? We're looking for something very, very specific. Saying, for example, they have a bond with Khilafat is not specific. They go to meet Khalifatul Masih 2 times a year is specific. Right? So I'm looking for things that are specific so one of us can take that home and say, I got to do that as well. That's the whole purpose. The purpose is to go to bliss, remember? The topic is from midlife crisis to midlife bliss. We want to spend more time on that journey rather than, like somebody said, focusing on the negative. So now please spend the next 3 minutes, talk to each other. What are the choices others are making that are making them happy? All right, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. We now need 10 volunteers. The sooner you get up, the sooner you have a chance. So 10 volunteers, please come up here. We need a total of 10 volunteers. New faces, please. Requesting new faces this time. Again, I'm requesting new faces to come if possible. Assalamu alaikum. We need to now listen to someone. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'll keep it brief, but I'll discuss 3 examples. The first example was personally for myself that, thank you. So I told the group that now that I'm in my mid-50s, I was reflecting back what I've been doing for myself other than working for corporate and raising kids. So one time I just told the kids, like, kids, I have 15 years of quality life left. We've done enough. Now it's between me and my wife, and we're going to do things, take trips, take whatever, just to have a level set from expectation. There was another example in the group. They were saying that they wanted to go to Hajj and fulfill that. And there was yet another example that they were saying that the wife's friends were bringing bad influence, and the head of household realized that, and they wanted to disconnect that. And
Excellent examples.
Thank you.
Thank you. Imam Sahib, you're capturing it.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Untitled Qureshi from Maryland, Jamaat. I reflect the sentiments of rest of my team when I say that they find pleasure in serving in some capacity in their neighborhood and or their families, food banks, working as a birdman, thank you for that, or some sort of capacity where neighborhood would come and they will be able to help them. In my personal case, I've recently, last decade or so, I've gone through many challenges myself. And we find a lot of comfort in being at the masjid. This is our home. So my wife and I, if we didn't have this, it'd be difficult for us. And likewise, we do spend a lot of time serving the community at food banks, other capacity, Humanity First, so all those things are very giving is comforting to us.
Jazakumullah.
Malik Mubarak in Seattle. Basically, we all have to follow the spiritual leader. We have one father. And we are not honest to ourselves, to be frankly. We need to be honest to ourselves first and find out what makes you feel better when you wake up in the morning. Do you fajr with your family? That makes you better. Go on time to work, or look at your family end of the day, what they come home on time. But the thing is, we are not honest to ourselves. We need to be, first we have to be honest to ourselves, and then we need to find out how we can. I heard the question answer session for one of those Morona doing Canada.
Sir, we gotta move on.
But what he says,
I thought it was an agreement. Remember,
quickly,
this is the moment.
Just quickly.
I'll do it. 1 second. See, this is. Yeah. I just want to make sure you see how hard it gets. No worries. No worries. You have to. You're talking honesty. I have to stay honest to the promise I gave to the majority. I hope we don't take any disrespect. Please.
Yes, we agreed on 3 items. Number 1, contentment. Exercise your efforts, do your best to accomplish a purpose. Number 2, choice. Number 3, the implementation of that choice. Here we are collectively trying to address a problem, and this is what is called collective intelligence. We all can give you our opinions, our ideas, but ultimately it depends on the individual to put that advice or proposal into action.
Jazakumullah. Specific things, what others are doing.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Within our group, what we discussed was a kind of mindset, which when people look at problems, they can actually look at them either negatively or positively. We've got very, very powerful examples, particularly Khalifatul Masih. May Allah help his hand. I mean, think about the pressures that he is on. And what we know is that certain families that try to emulate that kind of life point and try to bring it into their lives. I try to understand the fact that, look, everybody has problems. It's not as if nobody can walk away from these problems. It's how you can then deal with it. So it's a tawakkul in Allah. We talked about that. This kind of belief that even if you are not there, Allah is going to take care. If you have a job, it's because of Allah has provided you that service. If you have a beautiful wife, and it may be there are certain events that may occur that actually make things very difficult, it's because of Allah's wisdom there are certain things happening. So it's not necessarily the fact that it changes the fact, it's the way that you are looking at things. Mindset.
Excellent point. Jazakumullah.
Assalamu alaikum. Mahbub Alam from Seattle. Our group has an optimistic and a pessimistic view. The optimistic view, when we look around at the families that are doing something right, that was the question, I think, we find that they probably have a deep connection with Allah in their homes and in their hearts. The pessimistic view, maybe the realistic view, is that when we look around and we try to imagine families who don't have a crisis, we couldn't find any example. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Hamid Malik, Oshkosh. So I think everyone has stresses, and we were discussing that as well. I think one of the factors for me that's really helpful was, I live in Oshkosh. Alhamdulillah, we have a mosque. We have 5 daily prayers going on there. The thing is, of course, going back to Allah Ta'ala for prayers and asking for His help. At the same time, with that, Allah Ta'ala, Prophet has mentioned that when you go to Namaz, you meet others, you find their problems, you can share your problems as well. So I think with me personally is that yes, there are stresses, but when I go there, I meet others, we laugh, we talk to each other, and there's certain people, we have the resources within the community. We have different kind of problems, so we have a doctor there as well, we have other professionals as well. So it clicks.
Going to namaz, to masjid.
Ji, bilkul.
Very specific. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ishmael from New York, and we were discussing, me and my group were discussing about how the backgrounds that we came from. So money could be an issue, but at the same time, we say salat. The Quran says we could all find comfort through doing self-analysis and prayers. We could pray by doing self-analysis. If you have an issue, you pray to Allah, and hopefully answers will be given to you, and that you could find the bliss and comfort and happiness that you bring to yourself. So whatever issue we have, we just have to remember Allah at all time, and that could give us the comfort that we need.
Remember Allah. That's the message. Jazakallah. Iftikhar bhai.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Iftikhar Ahmed from Silicon Valley. So the summary of the conversation in our group was that we see people who look happy, who look like they're having a blissful life, who are helping others, whether it is financially, whether it is just through conversations, or it is physical action. I've personally experienced that in Humanity First work. Brother Fareed has, lifetime of stories in that. So genuinely helping others gives a lot more joy than any other thing.
Helping others, we have it there. Jazakumullah. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Suhail Qureshi from Tucson Jamaat. I'll just say what really makes me happy and feel contented in my life is I go and I live outside of the box sometimes. I mean, we all live in a box, of course, in our religious surroundings that we have. But sometimes it's good to live outside of the box. What I do a lot, there are a couple of things I'll mention. What I do, I go to different churches and I help out. I help them out in serving the needy. I make boxes, I make small packs, and I do that once a week, every Thursday for 2 hours. And that really makes me feel very happy and feel fulfilled. And then wherever I get a chance, I help the poor guys. Like in wintertime, a lot of people, they stay at night in parks. We go out to the parks and give them blankets. So just small things I do. And then the second thing I do, that I rescue birds. I have a lot of birds. I have over 200 birds. And in the neighborhood, I'm known as the Birdman. And they can't say Qureshi, so okay, call me Birdman. In fact, if you come in the neighborhood or in that area, they ask anyone where the bird guy lives, and everybody knows where I live. And what I do is, we have a lot of local birds in Tucson.
Jazakallah, sir.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Jazakumullah. So once again, I must seek apologies here. I know how this can come across as wrong. I'm requesting 10 people to come, so I'm requesting 11th and 12th to sit down. I'm requesting new people to join in. Just trying to make sure that we follow the preferences you all agreed to in the beginning. Someone sent me a text message that someone guided him that stop seeking help from other humans and only seek Allah's help. And the person says from that point on, life changed, because that's a specific thing he started doing. Reflecting on my father's life and how he handled family and Jamaat. He, alhamdulillah, lived a fulfilling life by serving Jamaat and engaging the whole family in his mission. So here is someone's example. That is what's working for people, bringing bliss. Someone said that nobody truly has a blissful life. You just can't tell in some cases. I'm just reading the perspectives. I think they're all important. Service to humanity makes the people happy. So that's what now the group believes. These are the things. Having vacations, removing bad influences, giving back, community service, being honest to yourself, contentment, having a purpose. I want you to remember this. Whatever you can. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Look at it carefully. Can you enlarge the size, Imam Sahib, the font size as much as you can? Because where I believe the conversation is going, there's a common thread here. Just see, no, this is enough. This is enough. Okay, so if you can't read, I'll read it very quickly. Mini vacations, removing bad influence, giving back to community, being honest, contentment, having a purpose, working towards that purpose, changing your mindset, deeper connection with Allah, going to masjid, doing namaz in the masjid, living outside of your box, following role models. So, this is what Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ says. And I'll read it because I think some of you are back there. I'm sorry, it's cut off from one end. But if the natural conditions of man is that his search after the exalted being towards whom he has an inherent attraction. So I'll read it to you in Urdu. I think it's cut off there. And I just want to make sure that these powerful words of Hazrat Masih Maud ﷺ. Hazur says, इंसान की तबई हालत में एक बरतर हस्ती की तलाश है. It's inherent in us that we have to seek something which is so much better than us, exalted. जिसके लिए अंदर ही अंदर इंसान के दिल में कशिश मौजूद है. So deep inside our heart, there is a GPS set by Allah Ta'ala. Those are my words. But deep inside our heart, there's an attraction that Allah Ta'ala has put in for that higher being. हर एक ताल्लुक मोहब्बत जो इंसान पैदा करता है दर हकीकत वही कशिश काम कर रही होती है. This is fascinating. You must think about it. Every relationship of love that you establish in your life is driven by that same force. गोया वो दूसरी चीज़ों को उठा कर एक गुमशुदा चीज़ की तलाश कर रहा है जिसका अब वो नाम भूल चुका है. It's so poetic. The Masih Maud says, it's almost like he's forgotten the name of something and he picks up other things, hoping that this is the thing I'm looking for. And then here, Hazrat Masih Maud says, a person's love of wealth or offspring or wife or his soul or being attracted towards a musical voice are all indications of his search for the true beloved. So the work the car, the house, whatever we worked for so many years, which now don't give us purpose, Allah is taking us through different orbits. And these are the words of Hazrat Masih al-Islam. So this is how those orbits work for us. Just trying to give a visual. Huzur says, when we are born, the love of a child for his mother. That's the first thing. Before we are even walking, thinking, there is that grain in our heart that detects love. Really fascinating. By the way, anything I tell you today is from Philosophy of Teaching of Islam. You must read that book. So Masih al-Islam talks about that first example. All of us can relate to it. And Huzur goes into extreme details as how you remove the child from that mother and he cries. But then, that's first stage of love. When we grow up, now comes the love for money. It's driven by the same attraction. Ek bartar hasti ki talash hai. You're thinking something bigger than you. And you believe at that time that money is more powerful. And then, after money, you want to buy a house. So your life continues to go through these orbits where you're trying to increase, go up, go up. Because, the money after a while is not going to give you happiness. Now you want things to buy with that money, or influence, or power, or position, whatever that is. Because bartar hasti ki talash hai. Masih al-Islam says you will not satiate. Aapki pyas bujhegi nahi. You'll keep looking for more. So what will happen after that? You have a family. You have a wife and children. What happens after that? The crisis. Because now you've gone through the whole bazaar, as they say. But the arrow points to something bigger. So then Masih al-Islam talks about the purpose of our life. By the way, when I was 15 and I thought teenagers, when I first read Philosophy of Teaching of Islam, I slept after the first 30, 40 pages. I could not finish. It was hard read for me. I did not understand it. And I tried multiple times after that, and I still either did not understand, could not finish it. So this is complete opinion. You can take it or leave it. But my formula is start with the second or third question of the book. It has 5 questions. Start with the second or third, maybe third, because it's much easier, and then you can come back to first question. But of course, if you're smarter, inshallah, you can start right up front. So this is Masih al-Islam talks about purpose of man's existence. And he gives a beautiful example. He says, the highest function of a machine is considered the purpose of that machine. And he gives the example of a bull. He says a bull can only go around a well and get water out, or it can be used in farming, and that's the highest purpose a bull can serve. I was just thinking, how can I give you a real life example? So all of you are carrying a smartphone. It has a calculator, right? Is that the purpose of your phone? A calculator? No, right? Because it's a low purpose. It also has a camera. Cameras are pretty fascinating, pretty sharp cameras. Is that the purpose of your phone? No, right? It has tons of apps. That's not the purpose either. What is the purpose? What is the highest function your phone can? Connection, right? The highest function your phone does, the moment you lose your connection, you go crazy. I don't have Wi-Fi, right? Why? That's the highest function. Because that connection is what your text messaging, your data, your YouTube, Netflix live streaming, all of that stuff. The lower functions are all dependent upon signal. That's the highest function. So wouldn't the highest function of man's existence, Masih al-Islam argues, would be to connect with Allah the Almighty? That's how you've been programmed. That's how we've been programmed. When I first came to US, 1996, at the year of blizzard, there were like 2 feet snow out in New Jersey, and I had to call my mother. I absolutely didn't like it here. I wanted to go back home. And in New Jersey, the phone, these were AT&T phones, no cell phones back then, on the beach. was like, God knows, minus whatever degree. It was very, very cold. And you have to call at night, so it's morning in Pakistan. And you had these phone cards that you'd get from a desi store. Right? So I got a phone card, you scratch the number, there's an 800 number. Then you dial, punch in another 18-digit number. Then you punch in the 12 or 7-digit number in Lahore. And it says, the call didn't go through, please call again. Allah is my witness. I'll never forget that. It was such a painful experience. My fingers were like this after, and I'm punching it over and over again until the call went through. Why didn't I stop? No, because I know that it works. I believe in it. I've made that call before. I've gone through the same process. I know there's a mother on the other end. I'll know if I try hard enough, I keep trying, I'll get through. It's tawakkul. I had trust in that technology, right? If I'd never talked to my mom through that phone, I'd give up. All it requires is one call to go through. One phone call to go through for you to listen to your mother, and bingo, it's over. From that standpoint on, you can any one of us will stand in that cold, not give up, because you know there's a mother on the other end. So Masih Islam is saying, if you try hard enough, one connection, that could be a true dream, that could be an istikhara, that could be some acceptance of prayer. Once you connect, then you'll realize that's the purpose. That's the highest function your body is capable and designed to perform. We can make money for corporations, that's not our highest function. We can take our children on vacation. A lot of other things that we do. We're confusing luxury with happiness. These are two different things. So what Masih Islam is saying, crave, your body will continue to crave for that highest function. And then crisis comes, right? Now, this is the beauty of Islam. There are very little surprises, actually. Allah has given us this in Holy Quran. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوءِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. It says, Hum zurur, we surely will try you. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ is not the Arabic term. It means surely this will happen. The linguistics are not like it may happen. It's a done deal. It will happen. So Allah Ta'ala has said very clearly in Holy Quran, we will try you with something of fear and hunger, loss of wealth and lives and fruits. What do you see there? You can see words, or you can see that wife with cancer in there. What are fruits? You can see that son or daughter who's handicapped. You can see that firing from a job in there. You can see that fear that sometimes we have. Allah says, I'm going to do, this is a done deal. You will be tried. وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّ لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. So Islam teaches resiliency. You can call it patience, you can call it steadfastness. Somebody said the right thing. Everybody's going through some trial, but it's how you handle it. Because inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun means that you have to accept that everything we have is on lease. We may think we are buying it. Even after you've paid your house, it's still not yours. It's Allah's. These children that we think may be carrying your DNA, they're not yours. Look at them as leased cars. I have 4 children. It puts the fear of Allah in me saying these words. Nobody wants to be tried. But the reality is, we are from Allah. And we're designed, sir. You know, you asked a very good question, the lack of purpose. Because your body is craving that next orbit. So I'm going to zip through because I want to end on time as well. Let's move to the next slide, Imam Sahib. It's stuck somehow. So can someone help us? Nasir Bukhari Sahib, please. Oh, we tried escape. So maybe that's Allah's design, but I hope that it works because I have some quotations of Masih al-Islam. Okay. So keep moving. Yep. Let me drive, Imam Sahib. I won't touch my phone now. Okay. So midlife crisis tempts us to make a choice. When I started researching, they say most people in that crisis, now this is coming from Google. So what is an average American gonna do? That's what they say. 20 things to buy during a midlife crisis. And trust me, this is very real. We are laughing because we're so blessed to be in this Jamaat. What's happening is a holiday, that big vacation, the big gadget, a sports car. A lot of things that people are buying is actually, they don't even know, subconsciously, they're trying to solve that problem in their head. They're thinking maybe this sports car is gonna solve the issue. I'm not gonna name a brand here. I was about to. But I'm sure, somebody must have that car and they're gonna shoot me afterwards. But, right, a new house, a new hairstyle, a musical instrument. Khalifah Masih Rabe once said, कि इंसान की तो तबीयत में पूजना लिखा है और जब वो खुदा को पूजना छोड़ देता है तो उसके महबूब कमीने से कमीने होते जाते हैं. These exact words of Khalifah Masih Rabe. He says it's in man's design to worship. It's in his DNA. And when he stops worshiping God, he starts worshiping meaner and smaller and pettier things, essentially. Because his design is to worship. He is going, you think people standing out on a Justin Bieber concert, what are they doing? They're worshiping something. The same people will very proudly claim, I'm an atheist. What are you doing here? You just switched with an idol, that's all. An idol who's never going to respond. Your call, we know for sure, is never getting through. And I don't say that with hubris or with arrogance. It's just a statement of fact. So, Masih al-Islam talks about that in Philosophy of Teaching of Islam, the purpose of man's existence. And then Huzur gives 8 or 9 different ways how to get to that purpose. And of course, I just picked one in the interest of time. Number 7, Huzur says, Kunu ma sadiqeen, choose good company. That's very actionable. It's very easy to understand. It's a choice. Now, when you look at that word, typically, we have all heard of the story of this young boy who was getting atheistic thoughts, came back home. Khalifah Masih Awwal said, change your seat in the class because he was sitting next to an atheist. He changed his seat and his thoughts got better. Is that applying to us as well? Right? Are we sitting next to an atheist? Do we need to change our seat? Who is the atheist? What's the seat? Company really doesn't mean this is the best form of company. By the way, when Huzur talks about choose good company, truly means prophets and Allah's appointees. So best company here, we'll go back to that picture. First, namaz. What is namaz? Isn't that keeping good company? You're meeting Allah Ta'ala. So if you look at namaz from that standpoint, we don't want you to do namaz because our service will look good. It's not a mechanical, statistical exercise. The point is, that's our purpose. Do a purposeful namaz like you're meeting Allah Ta'ala. How are we going to tell our children keep good company? I'm running away from that company. What kind of books am I reading? That's my company. We live in a virtual reality world. It's reality and virtual reality. What am I reading on my smartphone all day? Is it Forbes magazine? Good, no problem with that. But Allah Ta'ala sent me a book as well. Am I reading that? May look very fundamental. Many of you say these are very simple things. Of course they're simple things. The question is, are we doing them? And if we are not, the recipe, then it's all about choices. Third thing, Allah has given us a Khalifa. Many of us have the means. Writing a letter to him is a choice. Who's stopping us from that? Okay, you can't write a letter. Praying for him in namaz, thinking of him is a choice. It's a conscious choice. You can make that choice. Huzur has said, right, I don't go to sleep without thinking of all these people around the world. In my mind, in my Huzur, I'm forgetting the exact words. In my imagination, I go to every country. One man can do it, of course, we know he's Allah's appointee. Do we also think of him that way? What's stopping us? It's a conscious choice. And if Allah has blessed you with more money, more time, take a vacation there. That's literally changing the seat and going and sitting with someone who Allah has appointed today. Our friends, that's our company. Someone said, we stopped, there was bad influence coming home. We stopped that. The website we are visiting, the media, entertainment, Netflix is your company. I'm binging on Netflix till 2 a.m. and in the morning I say, I'm empty, I have a crisis. It's my choice. There is no crisis. These dramas will never end, right? The soap operas, the Pakistani or Turkish or whichever drama you like, by the time you're on the 3rd season, they're already planning 10 steps ahead. So, in the interest of time, I'll move on. This is one of the beautiful quotations from, again, philosophy. And I think, let me see if I can bring the Urdu. Because this talks of true resilience, what kind of trials people have to go through. Hazur says, कमाल इस्तिकामत ये है कि चारों तरफ बलाओं को मुहीत देखें और खुदा की राह में जान और इज़्ज़त और आबरू को मुअर्रज़ ख़तर में पावें और कोई तसल्ली देने वाली बात मौजूद ना हो. He says, real steadfastness is that you see dangers all around you and there is your respect and your honor and everything that you stand for is in danger and nothing can console you. Yahan tak, this is the key point, yahan tak कि खुदा ताला भी इम्तिहान के तौर पर तसल्ली देने वाले कशफ या ख्वाब या इल्हाम को बंद कर दे. Think of the stature of this person who gets communion with Allah, and Masih Masam says he can get into a trial so much so that even his visions and dreams and revelations are suspended by God as a trial. और हौलनाक खौफों में छोड़ दे, and just abandons him in all these dangers. उस वक्त नामुरादी ना दिखलाएं. Don't run away at that time. बुज़दिलों की तरह पीछे ना हटें. Don't be a coward. That's the time, Hazrat Masih Maud, this is the kind of resilience it takes or is expected from us. What do you see? Is this man looking outside, looking inside? Those of you who think he's looking outside, raise your hands. Those of you who think he's looking inside, raise your hands. Equal split. Who's right? It's choice. You decide where he's looking. Look again. Particularly those of you who thought he was looking inside. Please look again. You don't need to say anything. And I challenge you, you can make a choice to believe that he's looking outside. Look again. What says he's looking inside? Of course, there's no right answer. There is nothing more I can prove or disprove. Somebody made the point about mindset, right? Your children move out after college. You can be destroyed by that mindset, or you can choose to look outside and say, Allah has now made 2 houses for me. Your child made a bad mistake of marrying someone. You can look inside and say, what a horrible tarbiyat I did. Or you can go outside and pray to Allah Ta'ala that Allah Ta'ala make them the best couple, the most exemplary couple. Pray to Allah. All those problems, that we have in life, it's a mindset. You can choose to hang on to culture. This is very important. This is our family tradition. Or you can look to Quran and says, you know what, actually Holy Quran is on my son's side when he says, I want to live independently after my marriage. I know this is very controversial. But remember, you said we need real talk. These are the things that are hurting people. It's the mindset. It's your choice where this man looks. And why he's outside? Because this is what Masih Maud says in Philosophy of Teaching of Islam. The law of nature informs us that for the achievement of each purpose, there is an appointed straight path. And the purpose can be achieved only by following that path. You make the choice. For instance, if you're sitting in a dark room, the straight path for obtaining the light of the sun is for us to open the window and face the sun outside. That man is facing the sun. It's attitude. It's your own mindset. I don't have communication with my wife. Well, maybe Allah Ta'ala wants to pull me up. Maybe I should go and do more tahajjud or do more namaz, and that will change my wife's heart. Why we go on vacations? You know, there was a common thread. Why we serve humanity? There is Allah in all those things. In nature, there is God. In other human beings, there is God. Your mind, your heart is still craving. The GPS continues to follow. You know, sometimes you take a wrong turn and you have your phone. And what does the phone says? It reroutes you. It continues to reroute. It nags you unless you turn it off. It keeps nagging you. That is what midlife crisis is. It's that deep nagging. Now again, this picture. What do you see there? You see a masjid that has namaz. In that masjid is Allah's word. You see some very blessed people in the righteous company. You see bliss. You see choice. A lot of people could be there that day. It just required coming 3 hours early. It just required taking time off. It just required, of course, larger sacrifice for others than, you know, I'm not, again, somebody living on the West Coast, a much bigger sacrifice. Keeping all those things equal, isn't that largely a choice? Bliss is a choice. Crisis is the default setting. You don't do anything. You don't have to do anything for crisis. وَلَا نَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says in Holy Quran, this will surely happen. You don't have to raise your finger for a crisis. That will happen. Bliss is going to require a choice. The choice, primarily, I just want to leave you with the point of the company of righteous. Choose Allah Ta'ala for namaz. I don't want to say it just, just because of 5 pillars. I really want you to think like a company, companionship. Think of it like companionship. You will meet Allah Ta'ala 5 times a day. That's a choice. Reading Holy Quran, that's His word. It's a choice. That's my company now. I'll never forget, a brother once told me, he said, I just put my Quran in the living room in front of me, outside of the juzdan, outside of the cover. So I'm now more likely to read it. It's staring me in my face. Something very, very simple. I thought that was very powerful. Those are the ideas I want. When I say talk for 3 minutes, that's what I would request you do for the rest of the time. Ask others, what's your trick? What's your idea? How do you wake up for Fajr? Maybe they have an idea. Maybe they have a mechanism that will work for you as well. So having that kind of righteous company is bliss. I just want to leave you with this. There is no way we can cover everything. Please read this book. It's really mazmoon bala raha, no question about it. These are the things, you read over and over again and you say, this is speaking to me in a very different tone now. I feel like I've never read it before. Jazakumullah. We're done on time.